which is this, is dragging and dropping symbols. And the value of symbols is because you can come up here and go to the library, and all of these are symbols. So you could go to fashion. Here are some templates. And then you can drag and drop them right in here. And then, so the important, and so then you can also, like once you get the library up, you can literally just peruse all of it, which is really great. So there are some really interesting textures. And then of course, there's other things for different industries. You know, Illustrator serves a lot of industries on that level. But the point to be made is that you've got lots of things, and you just need to, so the way to see that is open symbol library, and there you have it there. And that of course is under the symbol library up here. But the point to be made that I was saying is that when you drag and drop this object in, and don't forget your shift key as such, there's your t-shirt right there you can use, is you need to break it apart. You see it's orange, but this is not changing. It's because the original symbol was made to be an orange. So I'm going to break it apart, which is object, expand, and then expand. And now you see it's editable. And so now I can call up my t-shirt for patterns, you know, whatever it may be. And so I have that. So that's why you have to break it apart, which is what I was showing you. And again, the way you know things are broken apart is when you can see the points. And it's the expand. Sometimes it's expand. If you do the blend tool, do we remember what the blend tool does? I take that as a yes.
No, not really.
No.
Okay, I'll come back to that. So that's another one to come back to. But let's finish this one. So I have this changed. Let me just get this changed to, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Let's do orange. Okay, so now I'm going to bring this over here, and I'm going to put this on top of that. And that looks horrific. Let's make this black, so at least we can see it. So, you know, often sometimes like in logo design, and fashion could also benefit from this, is to design in a monochromatic scale so that you can see how well the designs look in contrast to each other. And then you take your color and you match your color to that. So now I'm going to use this as what I want to drag and drop into my swatch. And now I have that as a swatch so that I could apply that as such. And now I like that pattern. So, you know, these are what we call, like, that was just, I would call that my happy accident, right? I like that. It's off to the side, whatever. But that's important to remember, that that's the symbol library, where you have lots of already existing things that you can kind of make your own by utilizing what they have. So we do that a lot in digital art and so forth. Okay, now this one needs an outline. Let's put an outline. And actually, you know what we could do is let's make a gradient so we can refresh our gradient tool. Let's get this to be black. And don't forget, when you have a stroke and you want it to be thicker, go after the stroke window, which I don't have. Oh, here it is. And this way you can change it. And don't forget, you can change the brush. Remember, we talked about that. Let's do that brush again. Where's my brush library? Brushes. Here we go. So let's do the brush again. Now, I tend not to use brushes until I'm absolutely done with the actual design, with the boring line, right? The boring line. Then you can apply that brush like this, like I just did. to a calligraphy brush, right? That's pretty thick though. Let's get this down to 1 point. So you have these brushes, and so on here, let's see, this might even be too thick for that. Let's get this down to 1 point. There we go. You see? So you can get the brushes to be of a really nice shape. And there's a lot of brush libraries. Same thing like the symbol. So let's do ink. Ink is very good. And so you can have, so what you do is you get your lines, but then you can, you can throw all kinds of stuff onto your designs. Does this kind of, make them a little bit more interesting? Obviously, we know the line is going to be a true line because it's a real three-dimensional object. Fashion designs are tactile materials, but presentational purposes, you can kind of throw something on like this, which would be very interesting. So again, remember, let's just remember the brushes. I always think of a Chinese restaurant when I work in Illustrator. It's like way too many options. I can't make up my mind. But the important thing is to be able to know where you can find it. So when you call up your brush window, just come over here to open brush library. And then this gives you all of them. And then once you've got one of them, you can toggle through all of them. And you do have to open it. You can toggle through all of them and see the brushes that you like. So, you can do like watercolor-ish things in Illustrator. Everyone thinks you have to do it in Photoshop. That's actually not true. You could do very painterly things in Illustrator, which is really fun. So like I could select this brush. And again, whatever you select gets thrown in and saved to your brush library. As you can see, I've used all of these. So if I use this one, there I have it. Let me highlight my line. And there I have that. And I don't like that. But the point to be made is just remember to just duplicate things. And don't forget, you've got the entire apparatus of the board to go on and on and on. And sometimes it gets a little busy. So what you do is just copy and paste it into a brand new document. Copy and paste goes a long way into Illustrator. So if I want to make a copy, that's the, what do you call it? The Option or the Alt key, depending on if you're on a PC or Mac. Just make a copy so that this way I can, like if I go back to that, that could simply be, yeah, see, that it was the stroke of the brush was too big. So you can always get some lovely, depending on the stroke and so forth. So brushes are great, and you can literally create your own brush as well. That's a little bit easier to do. Well, I mean, there's just so many brushes. I haven't found a situation where like, gee, I don't like any of these brushes. I want to make my own. I've never come to that. I can always find a brush that satisfies me, and I can use it. And don't forget, you can always break it apart and manipulate it. And what do I mean by breaking apart? It's that expand again. So let's just kind of fundamentally, let me just help you to understand. When you do a brush like this, let me see if I'm going to get this. Yeah. You see that I've got it on the brush, and you do have to select it. So when you select it, you see that, let me get a simple one. That line, let's choose a bit better color than this so you can see it. That line is down the middle, just to show you. That line is down the middle. That is what we call a stroke in Illustrator. And as you can see, it truly is a stroke, because look, over here is the stroke. If I wanted my stroke like this, if I wanted my stroke, now you can put a pattern on a stroke. Did it do it? Not really. Hold on. Okay, so this one is not working, but on a traditional stroke, wait, oh, maybe, nope, that's not making it. Traditionally, you can be able to do this. If I go back to the straight one, I think it's because it's so complicated. So this is what I want to show you. In the old days, I do mean the old days, is we never could put a gradient on a stroke and we couldn't put a pattern on a stroke. I think a basic one, it does do it, but this complicated one, it's not doing it. So what we had to do, which is what I have to do with this one, because it is complicated, is I had to break it apart to make it a shape. So that's the difference. Like right now, see, it does take the pattern here, as you can see, but it's not showing it on there, and we'll find out. But the point to be made is that you can expand it. Object, expand appearance this time, and now you see it is not a stroke, it is a shape. And now I can take this and put a pattern on it. And now we got that, which is very cool. So that's just something to let you know that you can convert a stroke into a shape with the expand or expand appearance, one of those two. And the reason why I jumped to blend is because they changed that up on me in a new version. When we did blend, we just used to do expand, but now they put blends expand into here. I guess there's lots of new choices. So anyway, so that is about brushes, that is about symbols, and how many resources there are in that context. So let's move on. I'll move this down. There was someone else had a question outside of blend. What was the other one? You want to do blend? Oh, here's water. I take that as a yes. Okay, let's do blend. But have your questions when we come back. We're going to stop this again so we can render it. Excuse me, but let's do blend. So blend is when you can take an image, a brush, or a line, let's just say a line. And don't forget, we can do dashes, but this still has that brush on there. There we go. Nope. Look how that has that on there. Fascinating. All right, I'm going to do it with the shape. See, I think it's a little buggy because, and so when you have that, like if I wasn't with you, I would just get frustrated, save it, turn it off, and launch it again. And then maybe it would unhinge that connection to the brush that it has. So, or I would jump to my pencil tool, which is, it's supposed to be just a pencil tool, but see, look, it still has that on there, right? And it still has, and maybe this is a dash line. Let's take the dash line away. Nope, see, I don't have the dash line. And I want that brush. And you see, I'm double clicking and it's not doing it. So I would quit. Sometimes I have found Zoom really messes stuff up. So anyway, let's just do a shape so we can see what blend does. So I'm going to take a circle. Now I got that obnoxious line on here. And let's do, oh, I see why. Silly me. I hate when the computer's always smarter than me. It was because of my stroke down here. Did you see that? I was stroking with the pattern. So it's not a bug, it was me. So let me get out of here. And there we have it. Now, I get that line. So you see, even someone who's been in version 1 of Illustrator, that thing will trip you up. And it's not because you're a beginner. is just because I didn't look to see what my stroke was. I thought it had the brush. So now we can do what we were thinking. So let's just do something quick and quick like that. Now you can do this with shapes, but you can also do this with lines. So what the blend does, and what's interesting is that there is some kind of calligraphy on this. So that's okay. Let's see what happens. No, I don't want that. There, that calligraphy is there. So we shall see. It should be interesting. But the point to be blending is, again, this is just the functionality of the tool. There's lots of design things you can come up with, and you'll think of it when I show it to you. First of all of these things that I show you have to be in the same layer. So these two are on the same layer. So you want to highlight the two of them. And then you come over here to blend and you double click on the icon. And so it will go from color to, and it will do the color no matter what. But you can do steps and you can also do distance. So this is very good. Like if you have to line up 8 circles, we'll come back to this because it's almost 3 o'clock. If you had to line up 8 circles, the last thing you want to do is plot 8 circles. It will do the 8 circles for you. So, and how do we do that is like there's steps, right? 8 steps. I've got it along that curve. It does change depending on what direction you have, but we'll see what it looks like. And then you say, okay. So we just set up the settings. And sometimes you'll find that if you double click these icons, a parameter will pop up, like in the eraser, or I think it's not the eraser, something else that if you double click it, more parameters show up. So the important part to remember about the blend tool is that it's a computational formula that's trying to guess what you want from one line to the next line. So you're locking in the points. So you see this funky cursor I have. You highlight over the point and it goes black, click. You highlight over the other one, you go till it's black, click, and then it does that. And then we're really happy. And you could put a gradient on this. So then I can highlight this. And again, you have to come up here to Object, to Blend, Expand, and then Object, Ungroup, and now you have separate entities. And then if I highlight this, I could put a gradient on it. Oh, it's not, you see how it's not a stroke? It is a shape. Because originally, but that could be a happy accident. So right now, let me just see if this is a stroke or a shape. It is a stroke, right? So that means I want to, let me zoom out. Zoom out. So now I've got this. They're all strokes. I don't want strokes. I want fills. Come up here to Object, Expand Appearance. Now they're all shapes. Now I can choose my gradient. And there are your gradients. So again, we'll do that exercise where if you have a lot of dots and you want to incrementally make them perfectly apart from each other, this is the tool to do it that will do it for you. It will line them all up from one to the next if the both are lined up, and then it will make 10 circles. And then if you want, you can decide upon the spacing by how many you want.